This is not a drill. This is the dark, bloody turning point in hip-hop history that has left the King of the South fighting for his very last breath. Reports are flooding in, verified by insiders on the ground, that T.I.'s fortified Atlanta estate was breached in a coordinated, military-style raid last night. But this wasn't the feds. This was something far more personal, something far more vengeful. As you watch this, T.I. is reportedly in a specialized ICU unit, surrounded by armed security and a devastated Tiny Harris, following a home invasion that turned into a calculated execution attempt. We have obtained leaked audio from the 911 dispatch that will chill you to your core. The silence from 50 Cent's camp is deafening, but the streets are saying one thing. The Surviving T.I. documentary wasn't just a film, it was a hit list. You need to stay tuned, because what we just found out about who is actually inside that house and the gift they left behind for T.I. changes everything you thought you knew about this feud. This is no longer about diss tracks. This is about survival.
And right now,
Tip might not make it to sunrise. To truly grasp the sheer gravity of the blood-stained carpet in T.I.'s Atlanta foyer, you have to understand the 20-year powder keg that finally detonated last night. This isn't just a clash of egos. This is a collision of two distinct philosophies of power, street legacy, and survival. On one side, you have Clifford T.I. Harris, the self-proclaimed King of the South. T.I. didn't just rap about the trap. He architected the sound that defined a generation. He moved from the treacherous corners of Bankhead to the high-gloss world of VH1 reality stardom and Hollywood blockbusters. He was the man who seemingly made it out, balancing a hypermasculine street persona with the image of a devoted family man, the patriarch of the grand hustle empire. But on the other side of this dark coin sits Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. 50 isn't just a rapper, he is a psychological warfare specialist. A man who famously survived 9 bullets and turned that trauma into a multi-billion-dollar brand built on the absolute destruction of his rivals. 50 Cent doesn't just beef, he deconstructs. From Ja Rule to Rick Ross, 50's playbook has always been the same. Find the crack in the foundation, insert the lever of public humiliation, and press until the entire structure collapses. For years, these two apex predators circled each other in a cage that was simply too small for both of their legacies. In the mid-2000s, the tension was professional, a battle for the charts. But in early 2026, the energy shifted from competitive to predatory. It started with the much-hyped Versus battle that T.I. practically begged for. T.I. wanted a celebration of hits. 50 Cent, however, saw an opening for an execution. When 50 Cent abruptly backed out of the battle, he didn't do it because he was scared. He did it because he had realized that a stage was too small. He wanted to take the fight to T.I.'s front door. The catalyst for this absolute descent into madness was the announcement of 50 Cent's investigative documentary series, tentatively titled The King's New Clothes, The Surviving T.I. Project. 50 began teasing receipts that went beyond the music, allegations of federal cooperation, hidden court documents, and a systematic dismantling of T.I.'s king status. 50 wasn't looking for a radio hit. He was looking for a life sentence. Then, the unspoken rule of hip-hop was shattered. The children got involved. King Harris, T.I.'s eldest son with Tiny, became the accidental trigger for last night's raid. Fueled by a toxic mix of silver spoon privilege and a desperate need for street validation, King did the one thing you never do to a man like Curtis Jackson.
He mocked the dead.
King's social media rants, which targeted 50 Cent's late mother, Sabrina Jackson, and his grandmother, crossed a line that even the most seasoned street legends wouldn't touch. Insiders close to the Harris family report that T.I. was visibly shaken when he saw those posts. He knew the history. He knew that 50 Cent views family insults as a signed contract for retaliation. In a leaked audio clip from a private grand hustle meeting just 2 weeks ago, T.I. can be heard saying, "I've spent 20 years building these walls, and my own blood just handed the enemy the keys to the gate." T.I. tried to play the diplomat. He went on the Ebro in the morning show, trying to distance himself from his son's reckless words, but the damage was done. 50 Cent's response was a chilling, silent offensive. No rants. No memes. Just a series of dark web posts showing the exact layout of T.I.'s gated community. The background of this conflict is a tragedy of inevitability. You have a father trying to protect a son who doesn't understand the world he's playing in, and a rival who has waited 20 years for a reason to burn the king's castle to the ground. The industry felt the shift. Security teams in Atlanta were doubled. Promoters were canceling events. The air in the city was thick with the scent of an impending storm. Everyone knew that 50 Cent wasn't going to settle this with a diss track. He was going to settle it with a raid. And as the clock struck midnight last night, the King of the South found out that in the game of survival, a crown is just a target. The stage was set, the cameras were rolling, and the crew was already inside the perimeter. The clock struck 2:14 a.m. when the silence of T.I.'s gated sanctuary was shattered by a sound that no amount of wealth or security can prepare you for. According to leaked logs from the neighborhood's high-end security firm, the perimeter sensors were not just triggered, they were systematically jammed using professional-grade electronic interference. This wasn't a random home invasion by a couple of amateurs looking for a Rolex. This was a tactical strike, a military-grade extraction mission executed with chilling precision. Eyewitnesses, neighbors who requested total anonymity for fear of their lives, reported seeing 3 blacked-out SUVs with reinforced plating scream up the winding driveway of the Harris estate. There were no sirens. There were no shouted warnings. There was only the bone-chilling sound of a reinforced battering ram hitting the heavy oak front doors, a sound that echoed through the hills of Atlanta like a thunderclap in a clear sky. Inside the house, the chaos was instantaneous. T.I. was reportedly in his basement home studio, finalizing tracks for his retirement album, Kill the King. Sources say he didn't even have time to reach for the protection he famously keeps within arm's reach. The crew, allegedly composed of enforcers linked to 50 Cent's deepest Northeast associates, moved through the mansion like ghosts. They didn't stop to grab the platinum records on the walls. They didn't touch the luxury watches in the display cases. They had one objective: the king himself. A leaked text message from a terrified staff member hiding in a kitchen pantry at 2:18 a.m. reads, "They aren't looking for money. They're looking for tip. Oh my God. They just found the studio entrance. I hear screaming." The confrontation that followed was nothing short of a massacre. While official police reports are being held for national security reasons, hospital insiders suggest that T.I. put up a fight that turned his state-of-the-art studio into a crimson-splattered war zone. He was found by a hysterical Tiny Harris 10 minutes after the SUVs vanished into the night, slumped against his mixing console, his pulse thready, and his body bearing the marks of a brutal, calculated beating designed to send a message, not just to him, but to the entire industry. But here is the first shocking twist. When the first responders finally breached the room, they found something far more disturbing than the physical assault. Mounted directly across from where T.I. lay was a high-definition, 360-degree camera that had been bolted to the wall during the attack. This wasn't just a hit, it was a production. The attackers didn't just beat the King of the South, they filmed his defeat in cinematic quality. According to a dark web whistleblower who claims to have seen the raw footage, the intruders forced T.I. to look into the lens and recite a specific line before he lost consciousness. The line? "The king is dead. Long live the mogul." But it gets even darker. As the ambulance was speeding T.I. toward the emergency room, a secondary explosion rocked the back of the property. The guest house, where T.I. reportedly kept his private servers and the original masters of his unreleased music, was engulfed in flames. Someone didn't just want T.I. in the hospital. They wanted to erase the very evidence of his legacy. The raid was a double strike: physical destruction and digital execution. The most terrifying part? One of the masks worn by the intruders was found discarded in the bushes by a K-9 unit. Inside the mask was a small, laminated photo of 50 Cent's late mother, Sabrina Jackson, the same woman King Harris had mocked just weeks prior. This wasn't just a raid. This was a ritual. This was the eye for an eye that 50 Cent has been promising since 2003. And as T.I. was wheeled into surgery under a John Doe alias to prevent further attacks, the internet began to realize the footage of this raid is out there. And whoever holds the remote controls the fate of the Harris family forever. As the digital world woke up to the news of the raid, the initial wave of sympathy for T.I. was hit by a secondary, far more destructive blast. While the King of the South was entering his 4th hour of emergency surgery to stabilize a mounting brain bleed, a mysterious X account, widely suspected to be a burner, operated by 50 Cent's innermost circle, dropped a 30-second video file that effectively stopped the heart of the hip-hop community. This wasn't a clip of the attack. It was something much older, much darker, and infinitely more damaging to a man whose entire brand is built on standing on business. The footage, grainy and time-stamped from nearly a decade ago, shows a man who looks and sounds remarkably like a younger Clifford Harris sitting in a dimly lit, sterile room. He isn't rapping. He isn't laughing. He is leaning forward, speaking in low, urgent tones to two men who are clearly federal informants. The audio is distorted, but the words that cut through the static are unmistakable. Names are being given. Dates are being confirmed. Operations are being dismantled. The reveal is a catastrophic blow to T.I.'s legacy. The crew that raided the mansion, according to high-level street sources, didn't just go there to leave him in critical condition. Their primary objective was to retrieve the original master tapes of this meeting, evidence that 50 Cent has allegedly been hunting for years to prove that the King of the South's crown was paid for with the freedom of his associates. But here is the second shocking twist. Just as the snitch tape began to go viral, notorious industry insider Tasha K went live with a bombshell that changed the narrative of the raid itself. She claimed, citing leaked forensic data from the Harris estate's own server, that the raid was an inside job. Tasha K hinted that the high-tech jamming equipment used to bypass the mansion's million-dollar security system didn't come from the outside. It was activated from within the master bedroom. The implication is chilling. Someone T.I. shares his bed or his blood with allegedly handed the digital keys to 50 Cent's enforcers. Was it a move of desperate self-preservation? Or is there a betrayal so deep that it makes 50 Cent look like the lesser of two evils? As T.I. lies in a medically induced coma, fighting for a life that may now be spent behind bars, the FBI has reportedly cordoned off his hospital wing. They aren't there to protect a victim. They are there to execute a detention order the moment he opens his eyes. The internet is now a battlefield of receipts. Fake Twitter threads are popping up every second, claiming to show the full 20-minute version of the informant tape. Industry legends who once called T.I. a brother are scrubbed their social media of any photos with him. The backlash is so severe that even the mayor of Atlanta has been forced to issue a no-comment statement. The question is no longer if T.I. will survive the physical attack. It's whether there is anything left of the man to save once the world sees what was on the tape's 50 Cent's crew carried out of that house in the dead of night. The digital landscape has officially fractured. As the sun rose over Atlanta, the shock of T.I.'s critical condition collided with the radioactive fallout of the snitch tape, creating a viral storm that has paralyzed the hip-hop community. This isn't just a trending topic anymore. It's a full-scale cultural civil war. On one side, the Grand Hustle loyalists and Atlanta's old guard are attempting to circle the wagons. Boozy Badass went on a visceral, tear-streaked Instagram live at 4 a.m., his voice cracking as he addressed the camera from a darkened room. "We supposed to be better than this," he screamed, slamming his fist against a table. "Raiding a man's house? Doing him like that while his kid's in the next room? That ain't street. That's demonic. 50, you went too far this time, bruh. You crossed the line of no return." But Boozy's voice was quickly drowned out by a wave of ruthless memes and rat emojis flooding every T.I.-related post on the internet. The narrative shift has been instantaneous and brutal. 50 Cent's G-Unit soldiers and millions of internet trolls have turned T.I.'s hospital stay into a punchline. Comments like, "The cheese finally slipped out the trap," and "Karma for Sabrina Jackson" are racking up hundreds of thousands of likes. The sympathy that initially poured out for a man fighting for his life has been weaponized into a mockery of his entire 20-year career. The industry backlash, the high-stakes nature of the snitch tape, has forced the industry's biggest players to move into damage control mode. Reports are swirling that Drake and Killer Mike, Two men who have stood on stages with T.I. for decades quietly scrubbed their Instagram feeds of any get-well-soon posts within minutes of the tape's release. The silence from the Atlanta rap elite is deafening. The message is clear. In an industry built on the code, an allegation of federal cooperation is a death sentence that even a critical hospital stay can't commute. The fan divide. The debate has turned into a toxic battlefield. TikTok is currently overwhelmed with theory videos analyzing the grainy footage of the raid and the informant tape side by side. One viral thread on X, formerly Twitter, has gained 50 million views in 6 hours, claiming to have found a digital signature on the leaked tape that links it directly to a government cloud server. Fans are split down the middle. Half are calling T.I. a legend fallen, while the other half are calling him a professional actor who sold out his city for a lighter sentence years ago. The celebrity responses, even the heavyweights are being dragged into the line of fire. Rick Ross, 50 Cent's longtime rival, posted a cryptic video of himself walking through his promised land estate, holding a gold-plated fly swatter. He didn't say T.I.'s name, but he smiled into the camera and whispered, "The wind is blowing different in Georgia today. Always check your guest list, billionaires. Sometimes the snake is the one you fed." Meanwhile, 50 Cent has maintained a terrifying, tactical silence on the raid itself, but his social media activity has been a masterclass in psychological torture. At 6:30 a.m., he changed his profile picture to a photo of a rat trap set inside a luxury mansion. No caption, no tags, just the image. The psychological weight of that post has sent the Harris family's legal team into a frenzy, with reports that Tiny Harris has filed an emergency cease and desist against 50 Cent for inciting violence. But the most disturbing reaction came from an unverified insider within the Atlanta PD who leaked a memo suggesting that several of T.I.'s former business partners have already contacted the district attorney to renegotiate their own past legal issues in light of the snitch tape. The house of cards isn't just falling, it's being incinerated. The very foundation of the King of the South is being dismantled by the same people who helped build it. Just as the world began to process the radioactive fallout of the snitch tape, the situation at the hospital took a turn so dark it has left even the most seasoned investigators in a state of shock. At 4:48 p.m., while the internet was still debating T.I.'s legacy, the lights in the entire West Wing of the Atlanta Medical Center, the very wing where T.I. is fighting for his life, suddenly went pitch black. For 3 agonizing minutes, the hospital's high-tech security grid was completely neutralized. When the emergency generators finally kicked in and the backup lights flickered to life, a horrifying discovery was made at the nurses' station directly outside T.I.'s ICU room. The 2 armed guards assigned to protect the King of the South were found slumped over, unconscious, but without a single mark of physical violence on them. They hadn't been shot. They had been professionally incapacitated. But it's what was left inside T.I.'s room that has sent the Harris family into a state of absolute terror. The final shocking revelation: T.I. was still in his bed, still connected to his life support, but his hospital gown had been changed. Resting on his chest was a vintage, blood-stained G-Unit spinning pendant, the exact piece of jewelry that was reportedly stolen during a high-profile robbery over a decade ago. But that wasn't all. Taped to the heart monitor was a single Polaroid photo. It wasn't a photo of the raid. It was a photo of King Harris, taken from a high angle, showing him sitting in the back of a black SUV, looking directly into the camera with the expression of pure, cold-blooded indifference. The metadata on the photo, leaked by a forensic whistleblower, shows it was taken exactly 6 minutes after the power went out at the hospital. This isn't just a beef anymore. It's a total takeover. The King of the South isn't just in critical condition. He is a prisoner in his own hospital bed. The raid on his house wasn't the final act. It was the distraction. While the world was looking at Atlanta, the real power move was happening in the shadows. We just received word that 50 Cent's private jet has just been cleared for landing at a private hangar in Teterboro, New Jersey. And according to the flight manifest, he isn't alone. He has a guest whose name is listed only as the new king. Is King Harris actually the one who orchestrated the final blow against his own father? Was the snitch tape Just the justification he needed to switch sides and join the most powerful mogul in the game? The doctors are now saying T.I.'s vitals have stabilized, but he is refusing to speak to anyone, including Tiny. He just keeps staring at that Polaroid. The drama is nowhere near over. In fact, the most explosive footage, the video of what actually happened during those 3 minutes of darkness in the hospital, is currently being uploaded to a private server. We are tracking the leak as we speak. If what we're hearing is true, the person who walked into that room while the lights were out is someone you see on the news every single day. This is a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions, and the world is watching it unfold in 4K. We are witnessing the literal fall of an empire and the rise of a new, ruthless order. But we want to know what you think. Do you believe that King Harris has officially turned on his father to join 50 Cent's G-Unit empire? Is this a calculated move for power, or is it the ultimate act of revenge for a life spent in a gated prison? Drop your theories in the comments. We are reading every single one, and the best theories will be featured in our emergency update tonight. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and see the footage the mainstream media is too afraid to show, you must subscribe and hit that bell icon. We are the only ones with the dark web access to the full raid footage and the ICU breach tapes. Don't let the big networks give you the watered-down version of the truth. Like this video if you're riding with T.I., or share it if you think 50 Cent is just standing on business. The next update is coming in less than 2 hours. We're going to reveal the name of the traitor, the contents of the black box, and the first message from King Harris since he vanished. You cannot afford to miss this. The king is down, the prince is fled, and the mogul is laughing. See you in the next update.